Om Vagartha viva sampraktau Vagartha pratipattaye Jagada pitarau Parvati parameshwarau Mukam karoti vachalam Pangum langayate girim Yatkripa tamaham vande Paramananda madhavam Yasmad jatam jagat sarvam Yasminyeva praliyate Yenedam dharyate chaiva Tasmai jnanatmane namaha Ishvaro gururatmeti Murti bheda vibhagine Vyomavat vyapta dehaya Dakshinamurtaye namaha Sada Shiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Harihi Om. So Archit requested me that why don't we have a satsanga on a Sunday, and I agreed. And he was also asking me, sir, you have been talking about the 4 Purusharthas, so why don't you talk about Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, Purushartha? So I agreed to do that. This is a very vast subject, so obviously in an hour we are not going to cover much ground. Nevertheless, I will try to talk about it in a sense that why do we need it today? Because most of my talk is all concentrated on today while using ancient Indian wisdom. In fact, every one of us, there are 2 goals which all of us have. First goal is I want to live long. If death can be eternally postponed, nothing like that. All of us have it. Nobody can say no. Now science may tell it means 90 years, 100 years, 110 years or 120 years. But the fact remains that our wish list is can we live longer. This is one wish list. But there is another important wish list all of us have. And that is, I want to be happy. In fact, I have been asking people, nobody says I want to be sad. Who is going to say I want to be sad? Every one of us want to be happy. Actually, this is a goal not just for human beings. Stavara Jangamanam, even plant kingdom, animal kingdom, you will find, they may not express it in a way we may understand. Being happy is everybody's goal. So the question, and today we are trying all kinds of things. We make our own assumptions of what will give happiness. What is the definition of happiness? And therefore, how do we pursue that happiness? Because some think a good job is happiness. Some think a good property in the middle of the metros and a farmhouse can be happiness. Some think a 300 brake horsepower BMW can be happiness. And some think a position. I am the CEO of a company, therefore. But eternally we are going in this journey only to find these assumptions are not correct. It's a matter of how long we have gone to check this assumption. But at the end of the day, we all come to a conclusion, this assumption probably is not correct. Anyway, so we leave all those assumptions. But this goal is something which will never change. After 10,000 years, if we happen to meet, we will talk the same thing. We all want to be happy. So the question is, how can we get this happiness? And where do you find this happiness is one big question. And we ask our children, you have to do engineering, you have to do MBA. All these are part of that happiness solution we are trying. How far it goes, God knows. And we have our own swa-anubhava, anubhuti. We all have our own experience. So the question then is there a model code of living? Is there a way by which you can develop a template, if I have to use a word like that, and say if you follow this template, both the goals are reasonably achievable. One goal is to live long. So live long maybe 100 years. I am not talking of so-called immortality. Living long meaning, can it be long enough? Instead of 70 years, 80 years, can it be 100, 105? Secondly, is there a code of living which will ensure that the propensity to be happy is a little on the higher side? These are the two simple questions. So is there a model code? For everything we need a model code. So even for direct access we need a model code. For everything we need a model code. So is there a model available? This is where today's talk is focused on. So let me start with telling a little bit about Chatur Purusharthas. So the moment you say Purushartha, it is Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Dharmaha, Arthaha, Kamaha, Mokshaha. Chaturvitaha, Purusharthaha. There are 4 types of Purusharthas. But if you look at it, the way our ancestors have classified this, it's called Trivarga and Apavarga. This is how they have classified. The 4 are classified into 3 plus 1. One is called Trivarga. Dharma, Artha, Kama is Trivarga. Moksha is called Apavarga. See, in Sanskrit, Apa is a prefix, Upasarga. Apa means away, Upa means closer. So Apavarga is this group or this category is a little away. Perhaps that is what it is trying to suggest. So you have Trivarga, which is Dharma, Artha, Kama, and there is Apavarga. That's why in some of the Lalita Sasana also you will find Apavarga Pradayini. She will bestow you Apavarga. Anyway, so that seems to be a different path. And so first of all, let us understand the 4 are not in one group. Trivarga is one group. Apavarga, which is a moksha, they call it as Uttama Purushartha. There are different words they are using. Fact remains, you can't put all the 4 in one basket. This 3 plus 1. The first thing. Now, let's come back to our question. What is this happiness and how can we live longer? Shankaracharya, when he wrote his Bhashya for Bhagavad Gita, which is one of the most profound and very famous Bhashya, the first sentence, right? He wrote about 15 sentences. Why do I want to write a Bhashya? Why am I actually attempting to write a Bhashya for Bhagavad Gita? So there he makes a beautiful statement. Statement goes like this: Vedokto, Dvividokto Vedo Dharmaha. Dvividaha Uktaha. In Veda, Dharma. The Dharma is established and explained in Veda in 2 ways. That's how he starts. He says, Dvido hi Vedokto Dharmaha. Pravritti lakshano nivritti lakshanascha jagataha stiti karanam. So he says, he puts very heavy words here. He says there are 2 types of dharma which the Vedic, your wisdom is telling us. One is called pravritti lakshana, another is called nivritti lakshana. Then he puts a very heavy word there. Jagataha stiti karanam. These 2 are the fundamental enablers of sustainability. Today everybody talks about sustainability. That's the word he is using. Jagataha sthiti, not Manushyanam sthiti, not Stavaranam sthiti, not Jangamanam sthiti. It is not the stability of plant kingdom or animal kingdom or human beings. He says Jagataha sthiti. This universe, this whole complex, beautiful creation of the Lord called universe, stability of the universe centrally depends on 2 types of dharmas. One is called pravritti, another is called nivritti. Pravritti lakshano nivritti lakshanaha jagataha stiti karanam. Then he says sakshat praninam abhyudaya nishreyasa hetuhu. For all pranis, again he never said manushyas. That's why I started by saying being happy is a goal for even a dog. We may not understand it, we may not know how it communicates. Some people knows, probably. So praninam, he says, Abhyudaya Nishreyasa Hetuhu, Sakshat, Abhyudayas. Abhyudaya means material richness. We want good security in life, we want comfort of life. Who said we don't want? All those are called Abhyudaya. Then Nishreyas, which is what is called inner peace. That is the happiness part of it. The source of the happiness is inner peace. So it's called Nishreyas. In Kathopanishad, there is this big definition, big discussion between Preyas and Shreyas. This Abhyudaya and Nishreyas is beautifully described in the conversation between Yama and Nachiketas in Kathopanishad. Anyway, so Shankaracharya said that if you take the entire Vedic knowledge, the Vedic knowledge divides itself into two components. One talks about Abhyudaya, which is Pravritti. Another talks about Nishreyas, which is Nivritti. Now the question is, how do we get these two? Or what is these two? Because in our Vedic wisdom, they have integrated everything. They are not bits and pieces as homework for somebody to understand. So now my model code of living must ensure that I get Pravritti and Nivritti in balance. My model code of living must make sure that I have Abhyudaya and Nishreyas. Today's problem is we have too much of Abhyudaya, people don't even know what is Nishreyas. People don't know what is inner peace. They go out after money. They think get better job, more money, more of this, more of that. No, that doesn't take us too far. Today we have lost the balance. We have swung in terms of Abhyudaya, we have left Nishreyas. Whereas our model code of living must be able to tell us that these should be balanced. So we have actually a two-dimensional framework to measure each one of us. Each one of us can be measured on a two-dimension matrix. Think of a matrix. There is one rows and one columns. So I am going to give you a 4x4 matrix. There are 4 columns and 4 rows. Let us see what are the 4 rows. The 4 rows are called Varnas and the 4 columns are called Ashrama. So there is something called Varna Ashrama Dharma. People are abusing it because I don't think they have understood the charm of this whole idea. So our model code of living is actually put on a two-dimensional grid. Each one of us must be in one of the Varnas and each one of us must be in one of the Ashramas. We have to be in one of these 4x4. So Varnas are Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Sudras. That is one dimension. And the 4 Ashramas are Brahmacharya, Grihastha Ashrama, Vanaprastha and Sannyasa. Every one of us, boy or girl or everybody will go through it. So what are these two dimensions first telling us? The dimension of Varna is all about work. We are in work. If you are in the thick of work, you go to any organization, the most modern organization, the number 1 Fortune 500 company also, you go and see, you will find there is a lower level employee, there is a second level employee, there is a third level employee, there is a fourth level employee who is the CEO and the top management. Then you have some middle management, some supervisors and some clerks and all that. That equivalent is Shudras and Vaishyas and Kshatriyas and Brahmanas. In other words, when you have to work, you have to understand, if you can't have everybody who are all Brahmanas, it will be trouble. Nor you can have everybody who are Shudras, meaning who can take instruction. Who are Shudras? Not the derogatory thing that is going on. Shudra in our Varna system means there are people who don't want to use their brain because they are not equipped. People are different. They say, I can take instructions and work. Don't ask me to think. But you tell whatever instruction, I will be able to handle it. Diligently I will do it. Those are the Sudras, not the way it is being made out now. Every organization, every Vyavahara, it's a Vyavahara Dharma. This is called Vyavaharika Dharma. If you have to be in work, you need all kinds of people. And so our ancestors created one dimension out of that. They said in any place in Vyavahara, you need Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Sudras. They have their own roles, responsibilities and they will do. Now that brings the second dimension. The second dimension is, suppose if I am a Shudra, in the sense I am not such a type who can really strain my brain too much, but I am very good in working. You give me work, I will be able to execute it, taking instructions. Now, does that mean that I cannot have nivritti? This is about pravritti. So far I have talked this only pravritti. It's about work. Now you may ask me, sir, just because I became a Vaishya or a Shudra, are you telling me I will not evolve in life? 100% you will evolve in life. The nivritti is independent of pravritti. Please understand. The nivritti is very different from pravritti. The nearest literature is 63 Nayanmars. In Shaivite literature in South India, Tamil Nadu, 62 of them are non-Brahmins. Not a single Brahmin in Nayanmars. We worship them. There is a big festival in Mylapore. Aruvathu Mover, 63, or carried in plank. Whole of Mylapore will be blocked for 15 days. You go to any Shaivite temple in Tamil Nadu, you will not miss a prahara in which 63 idols are there, 63 Nayanmars, none of them are Brahmins. They have evolved to the highest position of their life. That's why we pray them like God. 12 Alvars, all the 12 Alvars are non-Brahmins. So, the second dimension is called Ashrama Dharma. What it says is, pravritti could be anything, but your nivritti cannot be stunted on account of that. So, one of the Nayanmar is actually a cobbler. Just because he is a cobbler, you can't discount his spiritual growth. Who said a beggar cannot have spiritual growth? Of course he will have spiritual growth. He doesn't have to prove it to you, he doesn't have to show it to you. And I can also tell you the most wealthiest person will have zero spiritual growth as well. There is nothing like Brahmanas only will have spiritual growth and then Shudras will not. These are all not there. The Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra is Pravritti Lakshana. The Ashrama is Nivritti Lakshana. What does it mean? Every one of us can evolve in life. How do you evolve in life? You go through a stage of knowledge, which is Brahmacharya. Then you get into Grihastha Ashrama, because that is the only ashrama in which you can do Dharma. No other ashrama you can perpetuate Dharma at all. A sannyasi cannot do Dharma because he depends on the society. A Brahmacharya cannot do Dharma because he can't do anything. It is only one ashrama which can perpetuate. If there is any hope for Dharma in this world, it is because people are married. People are ready to marry and they get married. So Grihastha Ashrama is the greatest ashrama. So go to the second ashrama. A full-blown living of a Grihastha Ashrama must be like the Mahamrityunjaya mantra. Triyambakam yajamage sugandhim pushtivardhanam urva rukamiva bandhanat mrityor mukshiya ma amritaat. Urva rukamiva, just like the cucumber fruit, which is fully ripe. When the cucumber fruit is fully ripe, it will detach. Like that, mrityoho mukshiya, bandhanat mrityoho mukshiya. From this world of bondage and death, take me out. That is the hallmark of good living in Grihastha Ashram. So, if you go through Grihastha Ashrama, you will go to Vana, you will start taking your hand, you will do bat and pass. You will say, enough. I am now interested in larger things. I have tried enough of all these. But today we have no opportunity for it because serials will not leave us. From morning to evening we will sit in the serials and do. Anyway, that's a different story. But a full-blown Grihastha Ashrama will evolve to a Vanaprastha Ashrama, which means he becomes Urvarukamiyo Bandhanat Mrityoho Mukshiya. Step me out of this. And then sannyasa, nobody can actually become a sannyasin. The sannyasa mindset will take over you. Bhagavad Gita chapter 5, so beautifully it is described. So beautifully it is described. Sannyashrama is not something which we can go. If you start detaching, it will come. You can't, it is unstoppable. So I will not talk about the sannyasa ashrama. That is a full-blown evolution of an individual. That's why the pyramid is like this. In all organizations, the pyramid is like this. Not everybody will become sannyasin. And not everybody can also remain as brahmacharya. You have to pass through. So our code of living is styled on Varna Ashrama Dharma. Varna Dharma and Ashrama Dharma. That's why Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvarnyam maya sistam guna karma vibhagashaha tasya kartaram apimam vidhi akartaram avyayam. He says, this is a larger scheme which I have created. Now the question is, because today if you go to any business, in all our workplace, studies, everywhere you need what is called a performance metric. How am I doing well? Or what is my goal? You have to ask what is my goal, otherwise people are not ready. Right? Now for this two-dimensional grid, we need a goal now. This two-dimensional grid is only telling you can be here or there. Now you need some goal to make sure I am in place, I am alright, I am doing okay, things are not bad. So how do you get it? That is where the Purusharthas come. So the third dimension is Purushartha. The Purushartha is a goal. And when you pass through the grid, you have to keep your reference to the Purusharthas. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So this is how the idea of Purushartha comes in. So it's not some fancy, unrelated things. Somebody can do controversy out of Varna and then keep shouting. Somebody can laugh at Ashrama Dharma and keep laughing at it. Somebody can say this Purushartha is something. No, it is all integrated. The two-dimensional grid requires a goal, a path, and that path is provided by Purushartha. So if you put the three dimensions together, you have a model code of living which our ancestors have put in place. So we look at only this dimension called Purushartha now. We leave the other two. Some other time we'll have to look at it. Okay. So the traditional perspective of Purushartha is Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. And this order can never be changed. Don't think these orders, in fact a lot of mantras we have to understand in Lalita Sahasranama, it says, Ichcha Sakti, Jnana Sakti, Kriya Shakti Swarupinyai Namaha. Don't change this order. You will not get the meaning. First you need a desire to achieve something. Then you have to get the knowledge to achieve something. Then engage in work. Ichcha Shakti, Jnana Shakti and then Kriya Shakti. Don't change this order. It will be not a very good idea. That's why in that Lalita Sahasranama mantra it says Ichcha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti Swarupinyai Namaha. In the same way, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha should be told only like that. You can't say, Kama, Moksha, Artha, Dharma, all that you can't do. Why? Because there is a very strict importance to these four in that order. We'll come to it. I'm just wanting to introduce this. Whereas if you ask what happened today, what is our style of living today? Our style of living today has for some reason changed. The Purusharthas are completely tossed off in a different way. So how do I explain it? There is a nice sloka. It says, Yavat jivet sukham jivet, Rinam kritva gritam pibet. Okay? It says, Basmi bhutasya dehasya punaragamanam kutaha. The sloka says, Yavat jivet sukham jivet. Enjoy madi. Kannada nalli heltare alva. Enjoy madi. Just enjoy. As long as you live, enjoy. Nothing else. So, Yavat jivet sukham jivet. Now, how do you enjoy? The second line says that. Rinam kritva, on credit drink ghee. Gritam pibet. Gritam means, if you are not in a position to buy something, don't worry, credit card is there. That's the meaning. Credit card companies are there, credit card, gold card, platinum card, all metals are now into credit card now. You have all kinds of things. So that is what it is saying, Rinam kritva gritam pibet. If you are not able to buy ghee, get on credit. And don't worry. Essentially, it is not ghee and drinking. What it is saying is, you can overstep your means of living on credit. And what is their argument? Their argument is, Basmi bhutasya dehasya punaravartinaha kutaha. This is after we die, they are just burning it up. Where is going to come again? As long as you are here, enjoy. This is a Western paradigm coming out of non-belief in reincarnation. Bharatiya Samskriti, if you take Bharatiya Samskriti, we are, our pramana is called Shruti Pramana. We are governed only by Shruti, which is Upanishad and Veda. Nothing else. If anything is in conflict with Shruti, you have to just throw it. There are any references. Actually, in Taittiriya Upanishad, there is a very good reference. Next week, I will actually talk about it in some detail in my regular class there. But the point is, we are all governed by Shruti. And in Shruti, everywhere it says, you don't run away after one birth. I mean, if you run away after one birth, there is no incentive to be dharmic. Please understand, it's simple logic. If there is only one chance, enjoy and go. Whereas if you are responsible for what you did, you will start behaving. In day-to-day life, that's what we are told. You are responsible for what, as you sow, you will reap. So this says, these are all coming from one janma. So enjoy. Yavat jivet sukham jivet. Rinam kritva gritam pibet. Basmi dehasya bhutasya dehasya punaravartinam kutaha. Kama ekayeva purushartha. These are all, there are people called charvakas. Charvaka, the word comes from charuvak. Speech is so impressive, you will fall in love for it. Logic and all don't see. Charvakas, that's why called charvakas, right? So they are all saying the kama eva praninam karanam, kama eka eva purushartha. Anyway, we are not that bad, but I'll tell you where we are. Today's living style. Today's living style is this Dharma, Artha, Kama is exactly reversed. Today's living style starts with Kama first. I want this. Whether I can afford to get it, don't worry. The credit card companies are anyway there. So Kama is the first Purushartha. Kamasya anugunam artha. That's why you need corruption in a big way. Because kamasya anugunam artha. You have to make the two ends meet, and if your stretch goal is going somewhere, you stretch this also by all other means. So corruption is central to living. Why? Because artha is kamasya anugunam and arthasya anugunam dharma. If everything is alright, follow dharma. Otherwise, keep it here. I want to enjoy, I want this, find out how to get the money by hook or crook, get admission everywhere. This is prevalent, this has become so prevalent in our society. Our Purusharthas, today's perspective is reversed. It's not dharma artha kama, it is kama artha dharma. Moksha, nobody is interested. I mean, that after retirement they wanted to, but now serials are saying even that you can't do. We are not giving you time for it. But anyway, so it is now kamasya anugunam artha, arthasya anugunam dharma. We have come to that level. This is the situation that we are in today. Anyway, so this is a little bit of introduction to these four Purusharthas. I will talk a little bit about dharma and artha. Each one of them itself is very vast, but I just want to give a little sense of it. Now the first thing is dharma. Now the question is, why is dharma the most important Purushartha? Right? I must share with you, for the last 10 years I am reading Sundarakanda twice a year. Vasanta Navaratri and Sharan Navaratri, I started this practice of reading the Sundarakanda. Every time I read Sundarakanda, I go through a very strange thought. The thought is as follows. If you read the 4th Sarga to 8th Sarga in Sundarakandam, in the 4th Sarga, Langani is, Hanuman knocks off Langani and gets into Sri Lanka. That's where 4 or 3, I don't remember exactly, but give or take one Sarga. I think 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, if you read. Langani is challenges Hanuman, all that happens. When Hanuman walks through the streets of Lanka, you should read the description. Wonderful. How prosperous this city was, if you want to know, read that. Hanuman says what kind of somebody was dancing, all kinds of art forms are flourishing, Veda is going on, Yajna is going on, this is going on, that is going on. So many things he describes. Every time when I read, my thought immediately goes to, Sundarakanda has 68 sargas. Yuddhakanda has 131 sargas. You're talking about 200 sargas in all. So when I am in the 5th sarga or 6th sarga, my thought says that exactly 120 sargas, 130 sargas later, this city is burnt to ashes. It's nothing. Everything is burnt to ashes. This is what will happen if anybody goes after prosperity, dharma rahita, not dharma vihita. This is very important. Without dharma, if you follow any Purushartha, it is like a foundation which is not there, or a foundation which is like a pack of cards. Our Puranas are actually again and again reminding that. So dharma is so fundamental. In Manusmriti 8th chapter, there is a 15th shloka. Beautiful, everybody knows it. It says dharma eva hato hanti. People say only the second part. Second part is dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. The first part of the shloka says dharma eva hato hanti. If you destroy dharma, dharma will twice the vigor destroy you. Dharma eva hato hanti, dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. That is why he says tasmat. In the second line he says tasmat dharmo na hantavyaha. Don't play with dharma. If you play with dharma, what you see in Nepal, what you found in Kedarnath 2 years back, the history of the clock was wound by 250 years in 3 hours. This is what happened in Kedarnath. Think about it from that perspective. 1869 Yavaga Yatra, how it was, it has become like that now. The floods. Dharma has its own ways of restoring equilibrium. That's what Krishna says. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanihi bhavati abhyuttanam adharmasya tada atmanam srijamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. The Avatara Purusha is not just the incarnation of Lord. All these are Avatara Purushas. The Nepal earthquake is an Avatara Purusha for me. Manifestation of Avatara Purusha. The flash floods in Kedarnath is nothing but avatar. Nature is telling, I am divine. Learn to honor me. That's what here it says. Tasma dharmo na hantavyaha. Mano dharmo hato vyayit. Better protect dharma is what Manusmriti says in his 8th chapter in Manusmriti. In Valmiki Ramayana, Ayodhya Kanda is one of the wonderful kandas for the youngsters to read. Because youngsters must know that life has ups and downs. Life is a roller coaster ride. Today's education, today's living, today's thing are all never telling students and youngsters anything. They say only good things can happen. Whereas it is in the Indian wisdom which said that no. In fact, in Bhagavad Gita 2nd chapter he says Matra sparsastu kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkataha agama paino anityaha tam titiksha. Develop titiksha. Otherwise you will go nowhere in life. So in Ayodhya Kanda you should actually read. In the 19th Sarga, Rama is called, the day before the Pattabhisheka, Rama is called. So Valmiki, the kind of usages he has made, he is in such a nice mood. Rama is such a nice mood. He is telling Sita, you play with your friends. I think Appa must have forgotten something. Some last minute instruction he is calling me. The mood, Valmiki's mood, the character way he portrays is wonderful. So it says Rama is at cloud 9 now. He didn't know he is going to go to the forest. Night he tells Sita, you just play with your friends. I think Appa has forgotten some checklist or something. He's calling me. 1 minute I'll come back. When he returns back, his face is pink. Sita asks, why is your face so pink? What has happened? You are not like this. And then in 53rd Sarga, Valmiki says, Rama did not sleep the whole night. He was weeping. He brought so much emotions. So that Ayodhya Kanda, youngsters must read to understand life is a roller coaster. The Samrat of this whole thing will go to the forest. So before he went to the forest, he met Kausalya. This is what Kausalya said to Rama at that time. What did he say? He said, Yam palayeti dharma, tvam dhritya cha niyamena cha. That person who protects dharma with dhriti and niyama, with steadfastness and properly. And he says, you are doing it. You are a person who is doing like that. Yam palayeti dharma tvam dhritya cha niyamena cha sahavai raghava shardula dharmastvam abhirakshatu. That dharma that you are protecting will protect you. Go. This is what the mother tells to the son. You have so much diligence in following dharma and you do it with a proper niyama, that will protect you. Go. This is Kausalya's parting words in when he is about to go to the forest. So this is what dharma is all about. Now in Mahabharata, I tell you, these two epics are great piece of knowledge for us to dip for anything. Particularly the Dharma Sukshma that you see in Mahabharata there's no parallel to it. I wouldn't say that much in Ramayana. Mahabharata is phenomenal. Anyway, in Karna Parva there is a nice shloka, definition of dharma at all if you want. Krishna tells to Arjuna. I'll tell you the story behind this. See, Karna is the commander-in-chief. Karna is just bulldozing into the army. He has killed some 10,000, 20,000, some big number is there. He has just stormed into the Pandava army. So the problem is, and he has inflicted heavy damage on Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira has picked so much of bows full of blood. So Yudhishthira literally runs away, sort of. Disappears. Because he is not able to handle Karna. Because Arjuna is handling one group, Bhima is handling another group. Like that it was going on. So after some time Arjuna finds that Dharma is not to be found, Yudhishthira is not to be found. So he goes to Bhima and asks, where is Yudhishthira? Then Bhima said, this Karna inflicted heavy damage on Yudhishthira. I saw him going away. I do not know whether he is even surviving. Like that Bhima gives an answer. So Arjuna gets very worried. So Arjuna tells to Bhima, you go and find out where is Yudhishthira. There is a little bit of conversation. Then Yudhishthira says, no, you go and find out. I will take care. Then Arjuna says, no, I am fighting all these people. Bhima says, don't worry, I will handle these fellows and as well as these fellows. You go and find out. Where is Yudhishthira? So Krishna and Arjuna in the chariot come, in the tent they find Yudhishthira. So there is a conversation between Yudhishthira and Arjuna. After the conversation, Arjuna takes his sword to kill Yudhishthira. These kinds of stories are plenty in Mahabharata. He takes his sword to slice off Yudhishthira. That time Krishna comes. Krishna is there. Krishna is asking, why are you taking this sword? I don't find any enemies here. Then he says, I am going to kill Yudhishthira now. And then he asks, why? He says, Yudhishthira uttered a statement. Yudhishthira, as soon as, let me finish this story, so that then, Yudhishthira asked, as soon as Arjuna came, Yudhishthira asked, he was very happy. Oh, so you finished Karna? So he has built so much expectation. So there is a long list of things which Yudhishthira says, okay, so you have finished Karna. I'm very happy. Tell me, how did you really finish him? He was unstoppable. All kinds of questions he asked. In return, Arjuna says, no, Karna is too much to handle. I have left him with Bhima, sort of, and I have come in just to come and see you, whether you are where you are, and so on. Yudhishthira was so upset because Yudhishthira was very scared of Karna. That's the mood you will get when you read those sargas. So Yudhishthira was very upset with Arjuna. So he blasted him left, right, center. When you were born on the 7th day, there was Ashadiri which said this. When you did this, said this. It said you are going to protect this whole Kuru dynasty. You are such a useless fellow. Big. Yudhishthira insults him like anything. Left, right, center. Finally, he makes one statement. Yudhishthira says, this Gandiva is of no use for you because you have palayanam kritaha. You ran away from the, war. Give the Gandiva to somebody else. Now Arjuna says, I have taken a vow that if somebody says throw or give away the Gandiva, I am supposed to kill him. So that's how he removes his sword. I have given a vow or something, and then he removes his sword. That time there is a beautiful conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. In that this shloka comes. Because if I don't tell all this shloka doesn't make sense. Or you don't understand where is he coming from. This shloka, look at that. He says, this is a very famous shloka. Dharanat dharma ityahuhu. Dharmo dharayate prajaha. Look at the beauty of the definition of dharma. It's a beautiful definition. He says, Dharanat dharmaha iti ahuhu. That which can support is called dharma. Support what? That's the question now. Krishna says, you know what is dharma? What are you doing here? You know what is dharma? There is a lot of slokas. Actually, I picked up only 2 of them. Dharanat dharma ityahuhu. You call something as dharma only when it has a capability to be sustainable. The sustainability definition is dharma, if you really ask me. What is dharma? That which can sustain is called dharma. Dharmo dharayate prajaha. Why? That only can actually support this ecosystem. So it is sustainability. Today's sustainability definition is here. This is exactly sustainability. Then he says, Prabhavartaya bhutanam dharma pravachanam kritam. You know why dharma, the whole code of dharma was brought? Because these prajas must flourish. Praja includes human beings, all living beings, rocks and rivers, everything. So just because these are supposed to flourish, we brought what is called dharma. Yes, yasmat prabhava sanyuktaha, that which has the capability to flourish everything, saha dharmaha iti nischyaha. Please understand, that is how you have to define dharma. He goes on. So the point I am making, dharma is actually the tightest definition for what is the modern day people use called sustainability. The only problem is in modern day, they have 3 types of sustainability. Nobody knows which sustainability they are talking. One sustainability is called financial sustainability. Another sustainability is called ecosystem sustainability. Whether emission, we are mostly talking about that. Whereas business people talk about something called financial sustainability. There's a third sustainability called social sustainability. Haves and have-nots, how do they coexist with poor, rich people? That some sociologists are doing. They're all different compartments. Dharma actually folds all the 3. Our definition of dharma is all-dimensional sustainability. So only then this will happen. Anyway, there are lots of issues like this. I thought I will just... Now in dharma, there is something called samanya dharma, vishesha dharma, vishesha dharma. Because in samanya dharma is, satyam vada, ahimsa, paramo dharma. These are all samanya dharma. These are all general value systems. they are to be adhered. Ahimsa paramo dharma, satyam vada, all those are, what are called general rules. But there is something called Vishesha Dharma. Vishesha Dharma is how do you actually apply in Vyavahara. The whole problem came here only because he was textbookish in his knowledge of Dharma. He said, I have given a vow for something, I have to keep up the vow. This fellow said this, let me take the sword and finish him. He did not understand Dharma is a larger sustainable problem. Okay? So that is what it is. And so you have the biggest problem. Dharma is not knowing this Dharma. Dharma Shastra is there. There are, Purva Mimamsa. Jaimini has written 2200 sutras. One can read and all that. It's not that. It's application. It is like saying I can read the Constitution of India. Actually, Constitution of India is very, very small. The BAR Act, Income Tax Act 1961 is very small. You can read it. That's not difficult. Then you will find 10,000, 20,000 pages of Guide to Income Tax Act, case laws, hundreds of things. Why? How do you apply it is where the value is, not in knowing. So that's why you have what is called Sukshma, Dharma Sukshma and Dharma Sankata. We have come through Dharma Sankata in our personal life. One lady asked me in an interview, she asked me, sir, you talk about Dharma. I want to ask you a question. I am working in a company. The company is asking me that you have to finish this work and go at 9 o'clock or 8:30 in the night. But I have my children, I have to take care of them also. This is called Dharma Sankata because there are two dharmas now. There is a Vishesha Dharma of being an executive in a multinational, and there is a Vishesha Dharma of being a mother. She asked, how do I resolve it? These are plenty. In our personal life, you have X amount of rupees. You have an age-old father who has to be treated, and you have a son who has to be put on education. This amount can be either used here or there. What do I do now? It's called Dharma Sankata. So Dharma is not the issue, it is a Sukshma. And it's very hard. That is where Mahabharata stands out. I'll tell you another story. There are plenty of them. One more story I will tell. All these, Karna is finished, everybody is finished. Then there is a Malyuddha, there is a Yuddha between Bhima and Duryodhana. Balrama is a great macer, he comes to witness this whole event because this is really two big players. And there is a third big player wanting to see what is happening. So as you all know, finally what happened? He tore his thigh. Bhima tore Duryodhana's thigh. You know what happened immediately after that? Immediately after that, Balrama got in and said, I will kill Bhima now. You know why? Balrama said, this fellow has killed him unfairly. You are not supposed to hit below the belt. He tore his thigh. So I will not leave him. Again Krishna came in. There is again a big conversation between Balrama and Krishna. Why? Dharana dharma ityahuhu. Dharmo dharete praja. We have to understand that. So interpreting dharma requires enormous amount of understanding, wisdom, experience and all that. So when I talk of dharma as a purushartha, the challenge is not knowing that. So dharma sankata is not ethical dilemma. That is clearly adharma. I am not talking about only today I will bribe and get things done. That is not dharma sankata. That is adharma sankata. There is no dharma sankata there. Dharma sankata is there are two potential things which are within the domain of dharma. What do I do? That's the question that comes. So, all these plenty of personal examples, Mahabharata stands out in interpreting, so it requires. So, question is, how do I know it? In Taittiriya Upanishad, towards the end of the first chapter, Sikshavalli, it's a convocation address. This teacher gives a beautiful mantra. I will just utter that mantra because they have thought about all these. He says, Ata yadite dharma vichikitsa va vritta vichikitsa va syat. You have a confusion with dharma. Dharma vichikitsa or vritta vichikitsa. In work you have a confusion. Passing out students, the teacher is giving advice. Ata yatite dharma vichikitsa va vritta vichikitsa va syat. Ye tatra brahmana asam marshinaha yukta ayuktaha aluksha dharma kamasyuhu yata te teshu varteran tata teshu vartetaha. Very nice. He says, you may have these problems. You are textbookish. Brahmacharya is only textbookish. Student life is only theory. No practice there. It's only theory. Grihastha ashrama is where practice is. People become wiser only when they get married. Don't take me wrong. What I mean is, it has its own, right? Grihastha is when the theory is applied. Dharma Sankata, everything you will learn. So he says, when you are into work, when you are get into pravritti, you have a lot of questions. Ye tatra brahmana, that brahmana is defined with five adjectives. Sammarshinaha, yuktaha, ayuktaha. Yuktaha, they are a composed personality, they are not a split personality. Yukt comes from the word yug in Sanskrit dhatu. That's from where the English word yoke also has come. Yoke is to couple, connect seamlessly. That's called yoke. The engineering thing is called yoke. It connects. That's a yukta. Ayuktaha, dharma kama sihu. You must have a great desire for dharma. So he should not say, what is in it for me? So he says, there will be people like that in your locality. Find out what they, etate teshu varteren. In that situation, find out how they reacted. Just follow it. It will resolve your problems. So go to some very elderly person who has seen the life and encountered many of these. That's what he's saying. So this in dharma, the biggest problem is dharma sankata. So I will stop dharma here. I'll do a little bit of artha, because for want of time, I don't want to get into too much detail. Anyway, this dharma sukshma, there is this dialogue. Swagurum partha, Krishna says, you are trying to kill your own elder. Swagurum partha kasmatvam hantum abhidhavasi. You have now set out to kill your own elder brother. That story, this is a shloka. He says, Swagurum partha kasmatvam hantum kamo abhidhavasi. Asampradarya dharmanam gatim sukshmam duratyayam. You don't know the sukshma of dharma. That's why you are getting into such duratyaya. You are getting into a wrong way of handling a situation, because dharma sukshma ninke illa. You don't have the dharma sukshma. Then he says, idam dharma rahasyam cha tava vakshyami Pandava. I will tell you, Pandava, you don't seem to understand the nuances of dharma. I will tell you, right? Yad bruya tava bhishmo va raja va api yudhishthiraha. This your Yudhishthira will also tell. Your Bhishma will, they will also tell, but they are not able to tell you. Now I will tell you. And then one shloka alone I will tell. It's a beautiful shloka. It says, Satyasyam vachanam sadhu na satyad vidyate param. He says, I first agree with you, nothing can be better than truth. Na satyad vidyate param. There is nothing beyond satya. I want to assure you that. But then he says, Sudurvidam hi tatvena satya asatyam iti me satihi. But what is satya, what is asatya is not as simple as you read in your textbook. It's not like that. That's where your problem is. Then he says, Bhavet satyam avaktavyam. There are a lot of stories in Mahabharata also for explaining this. Yeah, satya is something which should not be uttered. There are situations. Please understand. Bhavet satyam avaktavyam. Vaktavyam anritam bhavet. Anritam is asatya. Sometimes an anritam has to be told. Mahabharata war, Krishna's only role, according to me, is to explain to us what is called dharma sukshma. What dharma is not easy to apply. That is what he has done actually. Yatra anritam bhavet satyam, satyam cha api anritam bhavet. Sometimes what you think is lie is actually truth, will actually become truth. And truth will actually become lie, and he goes on. All that I am wanting to tell you is that is the challenge in dharma. But it's very important, we need wisdom. So we need to have our elders in place. Don't take them too much for granted, because then we will just go elsewhere. That is the point I want to make. Then comes artha. The biggest misconception that we all have, the modern society. Ivattu jana. Today's people, the biggest misconception we have is our ancestors did not want money. They were not after money. I mean, this is so illogical. A person who doesn't want money will not create wealth or knowledge or anything. Enormous thinking has gone behind. In astronomy, they have done astronomical thinking. In astronomy and math and so on. So it's not that they don't want. In Taittiriya Upanishad, I will quote. The Shishya is told by the teacher, Kurvana chiram atmanaha vasagum simamagavascha annapanecha sarvata. Food, clothing, shelter. Annapanecha sarvada, forever. Vasagum simamagavascha. Give me my cattle, because that is the source of wealth. Give me food, clothes. Maslow's hierarchy of needs in management they talk. Food, clothing, shelter is what he is talking. Tato me Shri Amavaha. After that, Shri, let prosperity come unto me. Lomasam Pashubhi Sahaswaha. Lomasha, Loma means hair. Lomasha is she who is full of hair. What it means is wool, goat. Indian wool is supposed to be the best quality wool. He says, give me a lot of goat, because they are economic prosperity. It's all, cattle and wealth are economic prosperity, like that. Then he says, Yasho Janosani Swaha, Shreyan Vasya Sosani Swaha. There should be no parallel to the prosperity and shreyas that I get. There should be, I should become so famous in life. So many things are there. Look at this. This is called Ayurrucha. Avarke gottirbodu. Ayurrucha. Rigvedanalli ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. It's very nice. Look at, for 14 of them, I'll tell only 2 of them, which are all talking about wealth and wealth. It says, Yashaskaram balavantam prabhutvam tameva raja atipatir bhabuva sanki nanaga swapatir naranam sumangalyam satatam dirgamayuhu. It says sumangalyatva. Then it says raja adipatitva, prabhutva, balavantam. Make me physically fit, make me the Lord, make me the king. Give me the infinite prosperity of Saumangalya. All these in this shloka. Then he says, Indra Varuna Saumana Samadruptam Rayasposham Yajamaneshu Dattam Prajam Pushtim Bhutim Asma Sudattam Dirga Yutvaya Pratiratan Ayuhu. This Ayur-rich, 14 mantras talks about long life. In long life, the kind of things they are asking is not just long life. It says, Praja, Pushti, Bhuti. Give me the power of Bhuti, Vibhuti. All those they are asking. So all Navo, Bhavati, Jayamana is also part of this Ayur-richa only. All these are the kind of... So our ancestors' understanding is so good, they know what is called Artha and Anartha. They know the list very clearly. Many of the things that we follow today are in their list Anartha. They have something called Artha and they have something called Anartha. So what is in the list of Artha? You read any of these Rigveda, you read any of these Yajurveda, you will find the list is like this. Their meaning of Artha is food, clothing, shelter. That is one. Gold, silver, diamond. In fact, there is one Chamaka Prashna. After Rudra, people say Chamaka. Today also I am sure we are chanting. See, when you chant Rudra, you make that, it's a Trishati, 300 Namah, that's why it's called Namakam. So when you praise him 300 nicely, that's the time you should ask. Immediately ask for good things. So if you want to know what to ask, today we don't know what to ask. We have absolutely no idea of what to even ask. If you really want to know, or if your children want to know what to ask them to memorize Chamaka and understand the meaning of it. Vajascha me, prasavascha me, prayadischa me, prasidischa me is what it starts. First it says Vajascha me. Vaja is actually paddy. Paddy. It says give me food. It's paragraph. On one paragraph, Gotuma Achame, Masura, all Bahuvrihis are in all Vrihis are in one paragraph. Sanchame, Mayaschame, Priyanchame, Gamasme, like that. All the 12 paragraphs, you cannot imagine what you can ask. That is their understanding of Artha. So their Artha is cattle, agricultural riches, wool, long life, good health, Meda, Indriya. Shrutam me Gopaya, he says, Karna abhyam bhuri vrishritam brahmana koshosi medaya pihitaha. It says, let me hear only good things. All our Shanti mantras are like that. Right? Long life, good health, Meda, Indriya, peace of mind, harmonious nature, plenty of rain and support from natural systems, kingship, Prajapatyam, kingship and lordship, grace of the Lord. This is a list of Artha. Do you know what is the list? Artha today means? Artha today means you don't have to go too far. You just go to wealth management, your Artha is over there. He says money, these assets, you have shares, you have bonds, you have debentures, you have unsecured loans. This is all our understanding of Artha. Our ancestors' understanding of Artha is much more sensible, much more wider. Today we go after this Artha, and then after Artha Sanchayana we do Artha Vyayana. Because you get sick, you go to insurance, same fellow will come as an insurance agent also anyway. Because it's all in the same umbrella only. ICICI will create your wealth and take your wealth also. Both are under the same roof. That is our understanding of Artha today. Ancestors, look at those Ayur Richa, all those examples. What is it saying? It is saying Artha is much, much wider than what you can imagine, much more sensible, much more wholesome. Now, our ancestors also talked about Artha in terms of what do you do with this money. Today today I have been hearing some Harikathas. I have some very fond of a few Pravachakas, so I have memorized all of that they have said. So one of the Pravachaka used to say that there are certain things which have to be in Vyavahara, there are certain things which are for Ashraya. Ashraya means reflect on it, keep it into your heart, and he says today we have completely reversed. Because Dhana, Artha is for Vyavahara, whereas today Artha is for parking it, Ashraya. God is for Ashraya, God is for Vyavahara today. There is a big business around God. He used to say that. He says, today we have got it exactly the other way. What is for Ashraya, we are doing Vyavahara. What is for Vyavahara, we are doing Ashraya. Because we need lockers, we have to park all the money, park it in the 8% return, 12% return, this, and then private placement, chit funds, and so on. These are all, we want to, what has to be spent, we are keeping. What has to be kept, we are spending, or letting it out. Whereas our ancestors not only talked about a definition of Artha, they also gave a governing principle of how to actually handle this so-called Artha, for which they introduced a grand concept called Yajna. In fact, in chapter 18 of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yajna dana tapakriyaha pavananam manishinam. Pavananam. It says, if you do Yajna, dana and tapas, you will become purer. That's the only way you can become purer. Pavananam manishinam. Yajna dana tapakriyaha. That's what anyway he said in chapter 18. But in chapter 3 and 4, so beautifully explained the governing principle of Yajna. I just want to touch that and leave it. What is this ancestors' understanding of what do you do with the wealth? Yajna andre, if you say Yajna, what comes to our mind is on the altar irbodu. There is this thing. And he will come and say, Soma Idannamama, Prajapati Idannama. In a Yajna, let us look at that Yajna. Yajna is a figurative, a physical thing we'll understand. One Devata is invoked, one Yajamana is there, there is a Ritvik who will help us with the process. Agni is the medium, a Vastu has to be given. And when you give it, you say, Na mama, na mama. Soma idan namama, Rudra idan namam, Prajapati idan namama, namama. You have to keep on saying, it's not mine, it's not mine, it's not mine. Why is it told like that? Because the best way to use wealth is first in your mental plane. If you can develop it is not mine, you will actually enjoy using wealth. Otherwise, you will have phenomenal strain in using wealth. And the type of usage you will do are all only, insurance and health kind of problems. The best way to use wealth is to develop a framework called it is not mine. How did Krishna bring that in Bhagavad Gita? He says, Saha yajnaha prajaha srishtva purovacha prajapatihi. Purovacha prajapatihi. Long back Prajapati. Who is Prajapati? Prajanampati, the Lord of the creation. Out of which you and I came, and all these beautiful manifestation of the world came. Prajanampatihi purovacha. What did he said? Saha yajna praja srishtva. So with praja he also created something else called yajna. So he says, moment I created people, I will create a concept called yajna. Saha yajna praja kritva anena prasavishyadvam. Use that, use prajna and say, astu ishtakama duk. Go and milk your cow of desire. Ishtakama duk. Dogda is drawing from the cow, na? Ishtakama duk. Go and milk your cow of desire, but with the governing principle called yajna. So he introduced the concept of yajna with that. In fact, in the previous shloka, he said, Lokan and yajnartam karma, Lokan anyatra karma bandhana, Tasmad karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. All the whole activities we do in the world can be split into two. One done with what is in it for me, and A complement. Another done without what is in it for me. He says this is called yajnartam karma. Lokan anyatra, all others are karma bandhana. It will tie you. It will affect you. You don't know when. You will get too much involved into it, you will get affected. So that's what he said. So he said like this, and then he said, Devan bhavayata anena, te deva bhavayantuvaha, parasparam bhavayantaha, shreyaha param avapsyata. Understand the principle of mutual dependence. Wealth has to be used with the cardinal principle that it is mutual dependent. You can't say, I will create wealth and rob people of their opportunity and it will be civil war. The way this Western society is going, if we follow it, time is not too far away, it will be civil war. People are not going to say, 1/3 of people in Orissa don't get food and you want to take 1 kilogram of cake and slap on somebody's face and celebrate birthday party? Is this our understanding of frittering away the money? This will not go too far. It will be a civil war, just like the flash flood which reset clock in 3.5 hours. One civil war will sort it out if we not become wiser. Life is one of mutual dependence. Whether it is a boss and a subordinate, whether it is natural and animals and living beings, whether it is living entities and non-living entities, it is all parasparam bhavayantaha shreyaha paramavapsata. That is the guiding principle of yajna in Artha. So our ancestors actually even gave a way of doing it. There is something called Panchamaha Yajnaha. We are supposed to do Panchamaha Yajna every day. It is not, Yajna means it is not once in a while we are doing. There are Panchamaha Yajnas. In chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita, it talks about a Panchamaha Yajna at a personal level, in a spiritual level. And in another chapter, a little later, he talks about Panchamaha Yajna as you find it in Taittiriya Upanishad. All of that. What are those? It says Brahma Yajna. First is called Brahma Yajna. What is Brahma Yajna? No society will survive if that society says, I will learn everything, I will not baton pass. It is selfishness to the highest core. I will learn from my ancestors, but I will throw it and go. I will benefit and enjoy from it, I will go. No society can afford to do it. That is called Satyancha Swadhyaya Pravachanecha, Ritancha Swadhyaya Pravachanecha, Damascha Swadhyaya Pravachanecha, Shamascha Swadhyaya Pravachanecha, Agnischa Swadhyaya Pravachanecha, Agnayascha Swadhyaya Pravachanecha, Prajacha Swad, goes on like that in Taittiriya Upanishad. Swadhyaya and Pravachana. So Brahma Yajna is a must. Learn the Vedic wisdom, pass it on. Baton pass it. People must benefit. Don't be so selfish. You learn something and then you say, over. That's the end of the story. That's the first. These are all Nitya Karma. Brahma Yajna is a Nitya Karma. We are symbolically also doing Brahma Yajna every day. They are all symbolism to remind us of a much bigger thing. First thing is study of Vedas and knowledge and baton passing it. Second, Deva Yajna. You have to give Ahuti. Devan bhavayata anena, te deva bhavayantuvaha. It's a very complex relationship. Today, to what level we have deteriorated. There is one yajna which is happening. I went, but it happened in 2004. They invited me. It's called Aptaryama Soma Yajna. And I found there are about 400 people in under 1 acre with some complex equipment. I asked, what is going on here? They are now finding out that in Yajurveda it is written that if you do yajna, it is good for the plant. Rain will come. So all these, and psychologically you will become better. So Nimmans people, about 20 of them. From University of Agricultural Sciences, about 50 of them. And they all measured. After that, 1 year later, there was a follow-up workshop. I went for that also. And everybody is saying what is said in Yajurveda is correct. This much you have to do when you don't have Shraddha. This is the problem of not having Shraddha. You will have to reinvent wheel to the highest level. Some Westerner have to come and say, then we will all nod our head and start going. Yajna is very important. It has ecological balance. It goes to Deva through that Ahuti. We need Shraddha. So Deva Yajna we should do. Third is called Pitru Yajna. We must do Pitru Yajna. Amavasya, Shraddha, all these are matter of Shraddha. In Shraddha there is no discussion. You are there, you are not there. It's like a 0-1 digital. There is nothing like 0.8 and 0.7 and all that. You have Shraddha or you don't have Shraddha. You cannot have 20% Shraddha and 80% Ashraddha. It's not possible. Don't even have any such imagination. You have to believe or you can't believe. Half-heartedly if you do, it's called Ashraddha. So Pitri Yajna is the third. Then fourth is called Manushya Yajna. We must take, it's a social sustainability. Don't keep on enjoying. If there are people who don't have food, do something about it. It will come back to you otherwise. It will come in a big avalanche. That's called Manushya Yajna. Offer to fellow human beings. Then Bhuta Yajna. ಅಡಿಗೆ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಹಾಕಬೇಕು. it may be crow, it may be one tree. If you have 1 million worms and microorganisms will live in it. Today it's fancy to cut tree and put a lawn. In my campus also they do. First thing they get into the quarters, first clean the place. Knock out everything and put nice lawn, which will only take, not give. It can take more water, all that, it cannot give anything. They think it gives happiness. They will continue to go to the hospital and get their blood pressure checked. So this is not really solving any of their problems as far as I know. But on the other hand, if you have one tree, that one tree will support 1 million. You need a lens to see. Don't think if you can't see something, it is not there. It is very unscientific thinking. Shraddha is very scientific. Ashraddha is very unscientific, actually. So that is called Bhuta Yajna. That's why again in Taittiriya Upanishad it says Swadhyaya Atma Pramadaha. That's what it says. Don't swear from Swadhyaya. Satyanna Pramaditavyam, Dharmanna Pramaditavyam, Bhutyaina Pramaditavyam, Deva Pitrikaryabhyam na Pramaditavyam, Matradevo Bhava, Pitradevo Bhava, Atiti Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, like that. All these are there. These are all convocation address to the students. So all that I want to say is Artha is not the way we have understood, which is all parking money in some debenture or gold, some London Metal Exchange, some futures and options. This is very narrow. The day you think healthy is Artha, you have become wiser in life. But I tell, some of my friends in my place, I tell, sometimes in the conversation I tell, I don't want medical reimbursement. There is sometime, this conversation, why can't we increase medical? I say, if there is a way I can get health, I don't want medical reimbursement. That is much better for me. Medical reimbursement is an inferior thing I should ask for. I should ask for something much bigger, which is give me health. So the day you understand health as an important element of your Artha, the way you do Artha Sanchayana will go through a qualitative change. You will find peace of mind as an important component of Artha. The way you go after Artha will be different. Today we are all in Pravritti, not in Nivritti. These are all coming from Nivritti. This is what we should know about, this thing called Artha. Anyway, in giving, that is why in Chamaka, I talked about Chamaka. There are 11 paragraphs. You know how the last but one paragraph where these ideas, asking ideas end? It ends with a beautiful set of mantras. It says, Ayur Yajnena Kalpatam, Prano Yajnena Kalpatam, Apano Yajnena Kalpatam, Vyano Yajnena Kalpatam, Chakshur Yajnena Kalpatam, Gashotram Yajnena Kalpatam, Mano Yajnena Kalpatam, Vak Yajnena Kalpatam, Atma Yajnena Kalpatam. What is the last word? Yajno Yajnena Kalpatam. The governing principle is Yajna. If you give up, what is Yajna? Yajna is offering to the larger world in which I will also take a little bit. That's why na mama is coming. That is why in Yajna symbolically they are saying Prajapate idam na idam na mama. Unless you reposition your perspective to wealth creation with that perspective, you will have a problem. You will seriously go. That's why in Chamaka Prashna it finally ended by saying it asked for 1,000 things but reminded you Yajno Yajnena Kalpatam. You understand the world, governing principle of the world is Yajna. So that's how Chamaka actually ends so beautifully. These are all the thoughts we need to remember when we talk of. So I will just stop here because I don't want to make it too long. All that I want to say are 3 things. I will say Dharma is the most comprehensive perspective to sustainability. Today's sustainability definition will pale in comparison with this definition of Dharma. You should read Mahabharata. Particularly, you should start, from the time they come out of the forest and then before the war, up to, Duryodhana being killed and the Ashwatthama and all these people are changed. Until that, if you read, you will understand the grandeur of Dharma. Dharma is far more comprehensive. It encompasses social sustainability, financial sustainability and environmental sustainability. It's much bigger, and provided we understand. That's why Dharmo Dharayate Jagat. That's what it says. Artha again as a Purushartha is very comprehensive in our ancestors' mind. You have to, in your list of what is wealth, you have to put health on the top of it. And then put your gold and your locker and all that a little later. Understand that, Artha as a Purushartha is much wider, right? Moksha is, the third message I want to leave is, Moksha is not a logical extension of doing very well these 3. I don't have time to talk about it. It's a very different kind of a discussion. There is in Ishavasya Upanishad, there is a beautiful mantra. It says, Avidyaya mrityum tirtva, vidyaya amritam ashnute. There is one mantra like that. He says, all these dharma, artha, kama, or avidya. And if you do it properly, as per our this two-dimensional grid and all that I'm talking about, what will happen? Mrityum tirtva. You will cross the ocean of birth and death. That's all. You will not liberate. You will not get moksha. But you will get out of the cycle of birth and death. So avidyaya mrityum tirtva vidyaya amritam ashnute. You get into amrita only through knowledge. So one is necessary condition, other is sufficient condition. In mathematics, they say necessary and sufficient condition. So avidyaya mrityum. So the purusharthas, if you master the art of the three purusharthas, dharma, artha, kama, then we are ready for moksha. The knowledge will come. When the knowledge comes, we get liberated. So that is what I think we should understand in a nutshell about purusharthas. I think I will stop with these few thoughts. And on this occasion, I would pray to Sarveshwara and for all the well-being of Archit and their family. It was very kind of them to invite all of us here for a satsanga. And because we could have done 1,000 things on a Sunday. TV is there, IPL is there, so many things are there. So it is not easy to also, get into a satsanga like this. He and we should thank all of them for this nice opportunity. And with those few words, I would once again pray to Sarveshwara, that Archit and his family, and for all of us, that let there be the right perspective of the Purusharthas, and that should lead us to this apavarga, which is what is our ultimate goal. With these few words, I will utter the Shanti Mantra and we will stop here. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma virdvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Sri Krishnarpanamastu. Shri Guru Charana Ravanda Arvindarpanamastu. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Black money reference is there. I don't know whether it is in Mahabharata, but certainly it is there. It is black money reference is there. In Mahabharata it is there because it is there in Bhagavad Gita, which is part of Mahabharata.
And there is black and white money. Color.
Oh, color is only a